father. Very rarely will I use his name. Because he's my father. It is in the Hebrew scriptures. His name. You are well aware of this, don't you? YHWH is his name. The day has arrived when my father is exposing all you wicked fucking bastards who are hiding the truth about Yeshua. Yeshua was the most loving person. Everything he did was from a heart of love. I do despise the man. All he wanted to do was bring love, justice, and shalom. But you didn't want it. You wanted to rule the roost as priests. Look at me. I am from the Aaronic priesthood. Where's the record of that? I would like to see it. I would like to see the family tree and how you can claim that when all the records were destroyed in 70 CE. So let me see the records. Let me see you go right back to Aaron. Okay? Let's be fair. We can all claim, but let's prove it. We can prove the genealogy of Mary. It's wrote in the Bible, you know it is. And Joseph. And you've attempted to discredit that as well. Haven't you? So, let me finish with this one point. But I will show you what I've done. I will show you. Let me take it on a nice, I'll lighten it up a bit. Let me just show you. Yeah. Let me show you this. There you go. There's the man. There's the man that was persecuted, put to death for being a good man. For being a good man. Oh, how sad. Does anybody recognise any of these characters? Yeah. I did this quite some time ago. It's concrete. It's concrete. Yeah. It can be copied. Oh yeah. By the way, it's not real gold. I just coded. Now here we go. Here's a. What do you think? There's the little dove. Coming down. Oh, look at him. Look at him. Now that's a. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a relief. Let me try and show you. Just let's get me shut over here. Hold on. You see it's sticking out. Does it? I don't know if it'll. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. But anyway, that's what I've been doing the last few days. This little pain. Yeah. I don't think you can see it actually. If I did it from the side, it might. Let's have a look. Can you see it? Can you see that? Yeah. It's all sticking out, yeah. The stones. It's just like a watercolour. It's just a watercolour. It's supposed to match up, sort of, round to this. Match up to this. Match up to this. Okay. Now, let me just show you this. Is it going to come on? That's oh, here we go. Let me just show you this. Okay. This is the evidence of the Shroud of Turin. Okay, let's just start.
The shroud is encoded with 3D information that is found from the spaces between the highest and lowest points of the body and its distance from the cloth. Recently, a VP8 analyzer that gives topographical information about the Moon and Mars terrain was used on the cloth. A 3D holographic image was formed of the face and body. An artist then used the exact dimensions of the 3D shroud image to create a bronze replica of the physical form of Jesus Christ.
We have real blood proven scientifically. We have an image that's neither painted, nor photographed, nor scorched, nor rubbed, or in any way made by the hand of a man. The image on the shroud is definitely not manufactured, meaning made intentionally to fool us.
This shroud has been wrapped around the body of a man who was tortured, flagellated, crowned with thorns, crucified at the time of the Roman Empire. All of which corresponds to what the Gospels tell us concerning Jesus.
The Shroud of Turin provides a great challenge for science. It's a challenge because it's a piece of cloth that contains an image with physical properties unlike any other image I have ever seen, or anyone has ever seen. I have spent 32 years studying it. 32 years, half my life studying it, and yet I still don't have the answers. The man I worked with from Los Alamos called me again, and he said, "Barry, what do you know about the Shroud of Turin?" And I laughed. I said, "But I'm Jewish." And he said, "Me too." He was also Jewish. And he said, and explained to me that at that point a number of scientists had taken a photo of the shroud, and he said they were so amazed that this image has such properties, they were going to put together a team of scientists to see if they could get permission to go to Turin and examine the shroud to try and determine how this image was formed. About 2 months into the project, I remember saying to one of the other team members, "What is a Jewish boy like me doing on this?" And he laughed and he said, "You forgot that the man on the shroud is Jewish?" And I said, "No, I know this, I know." And then he gave me the best advice, maybe, of my whole life. He said, "Barry, go to Turin, do the best job you can do. God doesn't tell us in advance what the plan is, but one day you'll know." And this was great advice. And that kept me on the team. I was going to quit. But because of his words, from God maybe, through his lips, I stayed on the team. But the most important property of the shroud's image is the fact that the distance between the cloth and the body made the density of the image change. So the closer it was, the darker the image. The further away, the lighter the image. So the image on the shroud is not just from contact, because it worked at a distance from the body. So the correlation of cloth to body distance yielded different densities of the image. So when we looked at it with the VP8, we saw the natural relief of a human form. Now, how do we make images like that? We cannot duplicate this. And this three-dimensional information is the only image in the world that has this property.
This image imprinted on the shroud was revealed in even more detailed relief in 2005, when it was transformed into a three-dimensional image. This was achieved by Dr. Soons, a doctor in Panama in Central America, who specializes in three-dimensional imaging.
The thing that stopped me from accepting the shroud as authentic for years, 18 years, the blood on the shroud is still red. Old blood should be black or brown. And no one could answer for 18 years, why is the blood on the shroud still red? And then in 1995, in a telephone conversation with Dr. Alan Adler, Jewish blood chemist who proved, by the way, the blood on the shroud was blood, proved it. He and I were on the telephone just having a conversation. And then he told me something I'd never known before. When someone is tortured over an extended period of time, 24 hours, 36 hours, right around the time of Jesus' torture, the body goes into shock. Jesus was given no water, he was beaten, he was scourged. Consequently, he went into anaphylactic shock. After a period of time in this type of shock, the cell walls of the red blood cells begin to break down. And the liver floods the body, the bloodstream, with an enzyme called bilirubin. And when that happens, the blood stays red forever. And when I found that out, that was the last piece of the puzzle. And that pushed me over the threshold and allowed me to accept the shroud as authentic, because it gave me a scientific, credible answer to the last question I had. My life is better by 1,000% than before, because the shroud is in my life. So as a Jew, maybe the greatest irony from my life, I'm a Jew who can say that my faith in God was restored by my study of the Shroud of Turin.
The clues that had been brought to light by the scientific research now made a medical examination of the image on the shroud possible. This examination revealed that this man had indeed been subjected to torture and that he had died by crucifixion.
We don't see a man that's just dead. We see a man whose face is swollen because his face was beaten. And you can actually see one cheek is more swollen than the other, but both are. There are scourge marks from a Roman flagrum, which was a whip with 3 leather thongs, and at the end of each was a lead weight that's shaped like a dumbbell, the weightlifters use. And his body is covered with these scourge marks, over 120.
In flagellation, as applied by the Romans, the blows not only tore the skin, but, as a result of their energy, which was absorbed in a few microseconds, they caused extremely serious internal lesions.
Extrêmement grave. C'est une torture abominable.
It is truly a horrible torture.
C'est un homme qui a la
This was a man who, at the end of the scourging, was going to die. His kidneys had ceased to function. He was losing liters of blood. He was completely dehydrated. The man on the cross had no more than a few hours left.
quelques heures.
More amazingly, those crucifixion wounds in the hands, the bloodstains on the shroud show crucifixion through the wrist. Because the Romans knew if they crucified in the palm, you could tear it loose. But if they nail you here, and the nail comes here, you can never pull this loose. We also see bloodstains covering his head, as if from a cap or crown of thorns. But not the beautiful things that the artists show us. Oh, the Roman soldiers were not going to take the time to weave a beautiful crown. They took a bush of thorns and smashed it onto his head, causing bleeding all over his head.
Every thorn that touched his flesh would have been like an electric shock for a few seconds or even several minutes. We can hardly imagine this when we read in the Gospels, they crucified him.
And we see a wound on his side. The darkest blood stain on the entire shroud is from this wound. And the blood actually went around to his back. So we have this bloody cloth with all these wounds, and it is a perfect match to what it tells in the Gospels was done to Jesus.
C'est Jésus.
This is Jesus.
C'est son témoignage.
This is his testimony.
Voilà ce que j'ai fait pour vous.
Here is what I have done for you.
Voilà
Here is what the Gospels say. Here is what I'm saying. I confirm them. Here is what I have done.
I was completely overwhelmed because a naked body, which had been tortured, with traces of blood which were only too visible, should really have made me want to run away. But funnily enough, this was not what I saw. I saw a body, more than just a body. A person who seemed infinitely reassuring, filled with peace. And this wave of peace reached out to me too. And I received a very deep and indelible certainty, as though he was right in front of me, and he'd said to me, "Don't worry, suffering does not have the last word. Death will not swallow you up. I've been there before you." I could say that I met him. I could say, like Froissart, he exists, I've met him. This Jesus of 2,000 years ago, I can say that I've seen him face to face. And this wave of peace I have to say that it's
Le Verbe
the Word was made flesh, the Logos. He who is the Word, he who is the truth, the life, he assumed a human body.
il s'est mis à notre
He has placed himself within our reach so that we can reclaim our dignity.
Or, c'était nous
Surely it is our grief that he himself bore, our sorrows which he carried.
C'est comme s'il avait pris le
It's as though he took the worst upon himself in order to allow us to breathe again and to continue to live after our difficulties and trials.
seulement lui
He alone is able to transform our suffering.
la souffrance. Le corps
And the risen body came out of this fabric of death.
et justement
And in the same way, he invites us to this same resurgence, this resurrection. And he shows us that we don't have to remain in the depths, but that his presence alone is itself a reassurance and can overcome anything.
elles sont extrêmement belles.
His hands are very beautiful.
Quand je pense que
When I think that these are the hands which multiplied the loaves, which blessed the children and touched the blind,
ont touché les aveugles. Je vois
I see a man who is respectful,
qui a
who's afraid of making me afraid.
parce que Dieu est
Because God is a little shy. He's shy because he's a beggar for our love. Our God, who is all-powerful, who could
Okay. You Christians, let me just say this. If any of these rabbis have destroyed your foundation, Jesus, Yeshua, and you walked away from Dove your singer, so deflated. Come on now. My Father has produced two witnesses. Two witnesses. They are his. Yeshua had no control over his body being resurrected. That's his Father's business. He did not do it himself. So if your faith has been shattered by these Jewish rabbis, remember, my Father produced two witnesses, the greatest of witnesses that could ever be, for the whole of mankind, for all of creation, whether it's on this earth or whether it's in the heavenly realms. My Father has produced the two witnesses. So come on now, your faith should be up here now, knowing, oh Father, raise them up from the dead. Anyone who denies my Father's two witnesses is sinning against the Holy Spirit. Who can deny my Father's two witnesses? Are you going to deny? I wish you all the best. All my Jewish brothers. Still hope. Still hope for this. You can turn around. We have a great example in that brother who was a Jew. But when he found out about Billy Reuben, the blood, that was enough. And restored his Jewish faith. It restored his faith in his Father, my Father, your Father. Father, your two witnesses are here. I hope that this video will help anyone whose faith has been shattered by these people who claim to have a covenant relationship with you, Father, through Abraham. Still hope for his brothers, my Jewish brothers. And I love you. Truly do. But now is the time to look very closely at the two witnesses my Father has produced. Not by human hand, but my Father produced the two witnesses. Who's going to deny that? Beat up on your own head. So let this be a blessing to build your faith. Please accept with love. My Father's two witnesses. Let us give it in love. No more can be done than this. Anyone who's lost anyone